Part 7. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 62. As November enters the middle of November, the temperature has turned cooler, and the wind blowing in the face has become awe-inspiring. The time for sunlight to appear is also getting shorter and shorter, and the thickening clouds hide the sunlight stingily behind it. The yellowing leaves fall one by one on the grass, occasionally picked up by the autumn wind, and stay on the paths of Shiyu Academy or in the slowly flowing river. For girls, the cool autumn brings a very threatening enemy, which is dry air. On the first morning of the new weekend, Ling was in her room staring at her other self in the dressing mirror. She took out a small bottle on the dressing table, opened it, squeezed the thick white liquid into the palm of her hand, and then spread it evenly on one cheek. The sudden cold touch made her slightly narrow one eye. The white liquid gradually turns colorless and blends into the delicate skin. She patted her cheek gently, then nodded with satisfaction, and spread the same breast on the other cheek again. Wei 11, who was in the same room as her, was lying on the bed with her feet crossed, reading a picture book borrowed from the big library. Within 2 months, she had become a frequent visitor to the big library, and all the librarians knew her. Her PDA also has the permission to freely use the 4th and 5th floors of the large library. Of course, the students will not know that this is a permission directly granted by Principal Phyllis, which makes people who don't know the inside story feel Wei 11. Sense of mystery. However, Wei 11 usually registers and borrows ordinary storybooks and picture books at the registration desk. So no one paid attention to that sense of mystery anymore, but gave her all kinds of care like a younger sister. Wei 11, come here. What's wrong, Sister Ling? Hearing Ling's call, Wei 11 put the picture book open on the bed with a puzzled look on her face. Her little feet wrapped in lace-trimmed knee socks slipped into cute plush slippers and walked to Ling's bed. Around. Sit here. Ling gestured to the empty stool next to the dressing table with her finger. Wei 11 obediently followed Ling's instructions and sat down, but her face still had an incomprehensible expression. Ling turned around from the mirror and faced Wei 11. After recognizing what Ling was holding, Wei 11 immediately knew Ling's intention. Sister Ling, I don't want to use this. Obey, you must use it in this weather. Ling's tone was gentle, but her other hand firmly pressed Wei 11, who was trying to escape, to the stool. Don't want. Ling saw her eyes tightly closed, shaking her head vigorously to resist, and sighed helplessly. I'm doing this for your own good. Exposed skin like your face and hands, if you don't keep it hydrated, will crack in this weather and look terrible. Although it is a bit exaggerated to say this, Wei 11 will definitely not accept it easily if she does not add some fuel and jealousy. So Ling once again said the words to Wei 11 that she couldn't remember saying so many times, and even she almost believed it. Woo! Wei 11's resistance finally weakened. She still didn't open her closed eyes and moaned slightly in pain. Ling knew she could take action now, so she pressed her hand covered in white turbid lotion on Wei 11's soft cheek. Babble. At the moment of contact, the little body trembled violently. Ling understood this feeling. When the sudden cold feeling came from the skin of her cheeks, she couldn't help but shiver like this. If it were Wei 11, this stimulation might be even stronger. However, if you can't persevere, you will feel worse than death when you pay the price. Ling had a deep understanding of this when she was Wei 11's age. So she worked hard and spread the viscous liquid evenly on Wei 11's face. The soft cheeks can change into various expressions in Ling's hands. Okay, it's over. Well, that's it. Ling turned around and started to clean up the dressing table. Wei 11 carefully reached out her hand and touched her cheek gently, then breathed a sigh of relief. Luoluo sat alone by her bed, with a magazine borrowed from a friend spread out on her knees. There were several books with similar content beside her. She seemed to have made up her mind, closed the opened magazine, stood up and opened the paper bag placed beside the desk. Luoluo sat back on the bed with the paper bag and took out several balls of colorful yarn and 2 long bamboo stick needles from the bag. She compared several balls of yarn of different colors in front of her eyes, and then flipped through the book at hand. Should we match dark colors in winter? Luoluo followed the instructions in the book and put the more colorful yarn ball back into the paper bag. These things were bought last time when I went shopping with Ling and Wei 11 in the business district. Luoluo deliberately chose materials that were not particularly expensive. After all, if you have no experience in knitting, it would be a waste if you failed, which would be a pity. Later, when chatting with friends, I learned that there were books and periodicals specifically teaching weaving techniques, so Luoluo borrowed these books from them. Following the diagram in the book, Luoluo carefully wrapped the untied yarn around the needle. 1 2 3. She carefully counted her stitches as described in the book. 18, 19, 20. 20 stitches seem to be able to knit a wider style, and a wider one might be more suitable for boys. Luoluo used another unwrapped needle to pass between the 2 threads. Fortunately, the yarn I bought was relatively thick, otherwise the yarn would have been loosely knitted because the spacing between the yarns was too large. The tip of the stick needle suddenly pricked my finger. Fortunately, the needle was designed with a blunt tip, so I only felt slight pain and no bleeding. Luoluo gently pressed the pricked area, and after confirming that there was no injury, he continued to return his attention to the work in his hands. The tightly closed windows began to make a snapping sound. Luoluo raised his head and looked out the window. All he could see was the gloomy sky and the branches swaying left and right in the strong wind. "Elder brother," Luoluo murmured in his mouth about the person who was not here at this time. The sound of the window shaking in the wind sounded again. Luoluo put down the needle and wool ball in his hand and walked to the window. "Look at the sky, it will rain heavily in a while." If there was thunder, the rain would not last long, but the thunder never came. If he hadn't received a call from Tilyuya in the early morning, Chiuke might still be wrapped in a warm quilt, enjoying the hard-won leisure time on the weekend. But in a daze, the anger conveyed by Tiruya on the opposite side of the PDA brought a psychological shadow to Chiuke, so she reluctantly came to the student council room. Chiuke has always insisted that weekends and work are 2 completely unrelated things. Now her mood is so complicated that it is indescribable. "Don't complain, this is the work you put off until today." Tiruya sat on the sofa with her legs crossed, drinking the hot coffee she had just made. She even thoughtfully made Chiukai a drink, but she had no intention of helping her solve her work. Lilu and Xiao are not here now, and only one person is needed to oversee them. Tilyuya had no other plans today. It was not a coincidence, but because she had known that something like this would happen today, so she had made plans 2 days in advance. The review work has already been completed by myself, and the rest of the work can be completed mainly without using the brain and only with the use of hands. In this case, it shouldn't take long to finish work and leave here. Tiruya had this idea. "Hello." But after just a minute of not paying attention, Chiuke fell asleep on his desk. The thick paper document was used as a pillow, placed under her cheek. Tilyuya showed a ghostly expression, walked with heavy steps in front of Chiuke who showed a happy sleeping face, grabbed both sides of the stack of documents with both hands, and then yanked hard. "Yeah." Chiuke's head hit the hard desk without any cushion. This gave her a big shock, and her sleepiness instantly disappeared, and all she could feel was the burning pain on her forehead. "Xiaoyaya, what are you doing? You have the nerve to ask me. I didn't come here specifically just to see your cute sleeping face on the weekend." "Cute, he. Hey, you're big." Tiruya mercilessly hit Chiuke's red forehead with another blow, and Chiuke shrank under the desk with his head in his hands. I'm tired of autumn, it's only human nature." Chiuke still wanted to find a suitable reason for himself. Sorry. After being glared at by Tilyuya, Chiuke sat back in his seat obediently and picked up the seal. Tiruya's expression finally softened a little, and she placed the document in her hand in front of her. President, is work really that difficult? Tiruya knew very well that Chiuke did not become the student council president voluntarily. Because that day, as one of the candidates, she was also behind the podium and knew about the commotion caused by Chiuke's absence. Tiruya admitted in her heart that Chiuke should take on the role of student council president. Even when she knew that she was a complete waste at work, this idea did not change at all. She decided to use her own power to stimulate her hidden abilities. But half a year has passed and the situation remains the same. Therefore, Tiruya held a secret meeting with Lilu and Xiao without telling Chiuke. The content of the meeting was to reflect on why Chiuke had not made any progress in half a year with the help of the three people. The final conclusion of the meeting was that he had been too gentle with Chiuke in the past 6 months, which made Chiuke become dependent on him. That's why Tiruya strictly disciplines Chiuke now. If only she wouldn't hate herself for doing this. With the contradictory thoughts that had occurred countless times in her heart, Tiruya looked at the first-year president who was repeating the two actions of stamping and signing with a bored look on his face. The sky outside the French window became even gloomier. When she saw the water droplets sliding down the glass, Tiruya realized that the heavy rain had finally poured down. It's raining. It seems to be raining quite hard. Aika listened to the sound of falling rain coming from the window of the moonlight bath in the Academy restaurant, and then looked at the umbrella placed vertically beside the dining table. If it rains, we can also start activities, so let's wait here until the rain stops. This is the only way. Senior Lilith, who was sitting opposite him, smiled bitterly. The only umbrella was carried by Senior Lilith. When Aika went out, the sky was already gray. He thought it was because it was still early and did not consider the possibility of rain, so he did not bring rain gear. Is it really okay if we just enter the forest like this? Senior Lilith once again mentioned a question that had been raised many times. In order to prepare for the final practical test 1 month later, the two of them aimed to enter the surrounding forests of Shimizuki Academy to practice. Compared to the training grounds of Frost Moon Academy, it is more suitable to practice Lilith Senpai's magic in a natural environment. I have already obtained the permission from Principal Phyllis, and I also have this. Aika patted the bag she brought with her. I borrowed this from Tilyua Senpai for the discipline team's use. Signal flare, and I have made adequate preparations. If something happens, I will definitely protect my senior sister. Then it's up to you, Aika-san. Senior Lilith's smile showed her peace of mind. As for explaining why the two of them are alone here now, the timeline needs to go back to a month ago. End La Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 63. After returning from Senior Lilith's mansion, Aika's mood changed a little, and her hesitation increased. Aika naturally feels that it is best for Senior Lilith to continue on the path she has decided. Because he believes that since he is alive, he should live his own way. Yes, this is just wishful thinking. If you support Lilith Senpai with this idea, then the problem will be different. Therefore, before drawing a firm conclusion, Aika could not do anything for Senior Lilith. During this time, Aika chose to avoid Senior Lilith. The two had to meet when they were working together in the big library. In that case, Aika didn't say much. Senior Lilith must have noticed that Aika was different from usual. She did not point it out, but just cooperated with Aika silently. In fact, what has been oppressing Aika is what Mr. Claus said that night. Miss Lilith has reached out to you, and is this just your attitude? If it is true as Mr. Claus said, then in this state, I have failed to live up to the expectations of Senior Lilith. The guilt in her heart became heavier, and Aika fell into self-loathing. The one who reached out to Aika, who was sinking deeper and deeper into the quagmire, was Lilith Senpai, who finally couldn't bear it anymore. One day, After the work in the big library was over, Lilith-senpai stopped Aika, who was about to leave as usual. "Aika-san, please wait." "Senior Lilith. Ken, please come over here." At this time, there are still some students in the big library, and making noise in the library is prohibited by regulations. Sister Lilith, who has always strictly abided by the rules and regulations of the big library, will naturally not take the lead in violating the regulations. Aika followed Sister Lilith to the preparation room deep in the hall in confusion. "This is the place where I visited when I met Senior Lilith for the second time." Recalling the scene at that time, Aika unconsciously shrank her shoulders. After Aika walked in, Senior Sister Lilith closed the door of the preparation room, and then stood with her back against the door without taking another step inside. "I would like to ask." Senior Sister Lilith hesitated obviously. "Classmate Aika, did you hear anything from Mother?" Unexpectedly, Senior Lilith threw a straight ball, and Aika groaned in embarrassment. Seeing him like this, Senior Lilith understood everything. "I'm sorry, classmate Aika. Because of my willfulness, I have brought you a lot of trouble. I'm really sorry. In fact, Senior Lilith couldn't continue. She didn't know what to say next. "Don't you want Aika to lend a helping hand?" This is a lie. He is indeed asking Aika for help. "Don't want to cause Aika any more trouble?" It's really easy to say this, but you can't take back the water you throw out. Because I know this very well, I simply cannot say this out loud. Now is the time to decide whether to draw a clear line with Aika. Because of her own fault, the two people who could have been friends were put into a situation where they had to make a decision. Senior Lilith began to regret her rashness. "Actually, Senior Sister Lilith repeated it again. Her voice was choked, and the sentence was still not fully expressed. "Senior Lilith." Feeling the strength coming from her shoulders, Senior Lilith raised her lowered head. Aika stood very close to her, staring into her eyes seriously regardless of her own embarrassment. "If possible, I hope you can continue the story you interrupted last time in the ward, okay? At that time, you really wanted to tell me something. That was the reason and motivation that supported you until now, right? Now, I want to know." With the support of Aika's powerful words, Senior Lilith finally made up her mind. The two sat across the table, and Senior Sister Lilith recounted her encounter with a certain boy a few years ago. "Because I met him, I firmly believe that the power of magic can save others. Maybe this is just a one-sided view of a student who is not deeply involved in the world. Maybe there are many invisible and complicated backgrounds behind it. I admit that I have no idea about those things. I don't quite understand. My goal is just to use this power, just like the boy who saved me, to help more people who need this power. Now that I have passed the entrance examination of Frost Moon Academy, I have obtained if I am qualified to enter, then it is even more necessary for me to cherish this opportunity." Senior Lilith's determination was indeed conveyed into Aika's heart through her firm words. Like herself, she has uncompromising principles in order to protect what she cherishes. This resonated with Aika. "That boy, how is he doing now?" Every time Senior Lilith thinks like this, it's not that she can't recall it, but that she's hesitating about how to express it. After spending such a long time with her, Aika has learned about Senior Lilith's little habits. I think he is also working hard towards his goal. In the end, Senior Lilith gave this ambiguous answer. Then, Aika relayed the hidden secrets he learned from Mrs. Elise to Senior Sister Lilith. Senior Lilith's father did not truly sacrifice his life for the country, but touched a certain dark level in the political field of the Bes Empire. His actions once put Senior Lilith's family in danger, but it was Mrs. Elise who preserved the family's current status through political means. Before Senior Lilith's father disappeared, he once warned Mrs. Elise. Regardless of whether Senior Lilith inherits the family business or finds something else she wants to do in the future, he will support her. The only thing she cannot do is to step into the same field as him. The opposition of her parents and their good intentions as parents are realities that must be weighed on the scales for Senior Lilith. Senior Lilith, I can make a decision now. Ika stood up and walked to the window. The setting sun has completely sunk into the ground, and from here you can see the scattered lights on the other side of the dormitory. After knowing Madame Elisa's sincerity, it might be difficult for you to persist. As the current spokesperson of the family, Ms. Elisa's opinions are equivalent to the opinions of the entire family. Senior Lilith herself should know this very well. His persistence may put the family's position in a precarious position. And then, for me personally, the moment of decision was right in front of her. Senior Lilith looked away and no longer looked at Ika. Both parties knew in their hearts that when they left this room, everything would be irreversibly changed from when they arrived. I will support you until the end. Even if this will disappoint Lady Elise, I will decide this way. Ika added one last sentence. Senior Lilith opened her eyes wide, her face was filled with astonishment. Ika did not avoid her gaze. Avoiding it was tantamount to showing the cowardice and hesitation in her heart, and Ika did not admit those feelings. So at this moment, a change did occur between the two. After that, the two discussed how to make Ms. Elise change her mind, and finally came to the only conclusion. That is Senior Lilith using her own power to gain Ms. Elisa's trust. Senior Lilith can achieve this through her own efforts, so what Ika can do for her is just to serve as her inner support. Will you really support me all the time? Will you support me throughout your life? In the next month, Senior Lilith continued to confirm this fact to Ika. Originally, Ika thought it was just because she was still uneasy, but after seeing the smile on Senior Lilith's face after hearing the affirmative answer, Ika realized that she just wanted to hear her answer like this. Senior Lilith, don't keep asking this question, I will be shy too. Even though I have said this to Senior Lilith many times, Senior Lilith still has not let Ika go. Ika-san, are you listening? Senior Lilith's gentle call pulled Ika out of her thoughts. Sorry, what were you talking about just now? Well. Senior Sister Lilith puffed up her cheeks slightly, you must listen carefully when others are talking. After Ika nodded seriously, she repeated what she had just said. I remember you once told me that the weapons you can use are all larger in size, and the magic power is limited and cannot be deployed continuously. Is that true? That's right. Ika didn't tell Senior Lilith the details of the magic outfit, but she didn't hide her abilities too much either. If you encounter danger in the forest, there is no way to deploy weapons of that size. You have already seen my magic. The first and second level monsters may be able to cope with it. If they reach the third level, they have no choice but to escape. There's room for that. Senior Lilith is right to worry. Frost Moon Academy divides the monsters that pose a threat to humans into 5 classes. The broken finfish that attacked Lilith Senpai that night belongs to the 3rd class. At least all members of an armed organization such as the discipline team are required to be present. Possibly managed without casualties. The 5th class, as well as the higher classes whose existence has not yet been determined, are hidden behind a veil of mystery and have not yet been fully explored. Lilith Senpai's magic is an extremely rare summoning magic that only she can use in Frost Moon Academy. Summoning magic can summon 2 kinds of monsters, one is a monster with intelligence that has signed a special contract with the magician himself, and the other is a natural elf. In the theoretical classes, the instructors have mentioned that there are natural spirits that cannot be seen with the naked eye in nature, of which the elemental system constitutes the main body, followed by special individuals. The existence of natural elves constitutes the magic flow in the environment that is as important as the air. It can be said that natural elves are everywhere. Summoning natural spirits does not require a special contract. As long as there is sufficient affinity between the magician as the summoner and the natural spirits, they can be summoned. This condition seems simple, but looking at Shimizuki Academy where there are many talents, only Lilith can achieve it, which proves how harsh this vague condition is. Senior Lilith was once famous in Frost Moon Academy as the Ghost Lady of the Garden because she practiced the magic of summoning natural spirits in the dead of night. However, the natural elves that can be summoned do not have strong combat effectiveness, and they can be surprisingly effective as an assistant. There is no need to worry about that problem anymore. Ika dismissed Senior Lilith's worries. During this period, I have designed the weapon I am holding with the help of my instructor, but I have not actually used it yet. Moreover, we are going to in the area we went to, only second-level monsters were active there, right? The barrier has been repaired. If there are no accidents, it should be considered a safe zone. But don't forget, the premise is no accidents. Found it? It turns out the two of you are whispering here. Ika and Senior Lilith turned their heads together and looked towards the side where the energetic voice came from. Chiuke, who opened the store door and walked in, put away his umbrella and walked quickly into the store. Let's talk later. Chiuke showed an embarrassed smile and said this as he passed by Ika and Lilith's table, and then hurriedly ran towards the counter. Senior Sira, please borrow the preparation room. After greeting the waiter at the counter, she disappeared backstage. When Ika and Lilith Senpai looked at Zuko passing by like a typhoon and the water stains extending from the table to the counter, they immediately understood the reason. The rain hit the windows of the store with a crisp sound. The autumn rain still shows no signs of decreasing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 64. About 10 minutes later, Chiuke came back from the background. Senior Sister Sira, can you help me get rid of the water on the floor? I'm obviously going to dry my clothes and then clean them up myself. You're welcome, President. If you want to thank me, find a time to come to our store and work temporarily for a day next time. There are many students who want to see you wearing our uniform. Yeah, no problem. Chiuke did not realize the unfairness of this agreement at all and agreed without hesitation. Ika saw from an angle that Chiuke couldn't see. Several girls who were also waiters gave a thumbs up to Senior Sister Sira. Chiuke came to Ika and Lilith's table with a happy face and sat down on the empty seats. The rain came so suddenly, my tail and hair were soaked. Chiuke casually combed his freshly dried hair, and his big fluffy tail was no longer listless and filled with water. It was swaying melodiously back and forth behind the chair. By the way, what are you two doing here? Going on a date? That's not true, Ika denied with a blushing face. Besides, isn't this the seal that you personally stamped, the president? Ika took out a piece of paper from her bag. It was a permission slip to enter the forest surrounding Shimizuki Academy. There were two seals on it representing the principal of Phyllis Academy and the student union of Shimizuki Academy. Chiuke tilted his head, took the permission slip from Ika's hand, and glanced at it briefly. It's true that I got the seal, but I don't know the content. Xiaoyaya did the review, I was just responsible for sealing it. President, why does the review work have to be left to Tairuya? I remember that this should be the job of the student council president himself, and signing and sealing is the job of the vice president, right? Can you explain it a little bit? Ika and Chiuke trembled at the same time because of Senior Lilith's smile. He has such a warm and kind smile, but where does this cold air come from? While Senior Sister Lilith was preaching to Chiuke, the rain had stopped, and bits of sunshine were shining onto the earth from the thick grey clouds. Don't let Tilyuya worry anymore. I will ask her personally about your situation when I have time. Oh, I know. After being forced to undergo half an hour of education and brainwashing by Senior Sister Lilith, Chiuke's ears and tail drooped feebly. Senior Lilith, the rain has stopped, it's almost time to leave. Seeing that the relationship between the two had come to an end, Aika began to prepare her backpack for departure. Do you want to go into the surrounding forest? Seeing Aika's action, Chiuke's originally sluggish spirit immediately cheered up. I want to go too. No, it's too dangerous. Senior sister Lilith shook her head at Chiuke, who looked expectant. Besides, President, you don't have permission, right? If you have permission, I have it. Chiuke pointed to Aika's backpack. There is no limit on the number of people on that permission slip. This kid is so familiar with the rules and regulations only at this time. Senior Lilith and Chiuke refused to give in, and there was nothing Aika could do against them. At this time, the PDA beep sounded in Aika's pocket, and a familiar name was displayed on the screen. Lolo? Lulu, what's the matter? Well, no, they're still here, others. Senior sister Lilith and Chiuke are also here. Wait. What are you talking about? Noticing that her voice was too loud, Aika quickly lowered her voice. No, I will never agree, Ling said that. What is that guy doing, The PDA in Aika's hand disappeared, and it turned out that Chiuke jumped up and snatched the PDA away. Hello? Lulu. It's me, yeah, I understand, then we'll wait for you here, yeah, no problem, yeah, that's it. With a satisfied look on his face, Chiuke returned the PDA that ended the call to the dumbfounded Aika. 10 minutes later, Lulu's figure appeared in the moonlight bath. Sorry, I kept you waiting for so long. Lulu seemed to have been running all the way. She held her knees and gasped for air. Well, Lulu, you have worked hard, please take a rest first. I don't know when the command of the Peripheral Forest Expedition Team, tentative, was handed over to Chiuke. She placed the juice she had bought before in front of the empty seat at the end of the four-corner table, and then guided Lolo to her seat with a smile on her face. I'm sorry, brother. Although he was so forceful during the phone call, Lulu still apologized to him obediently when he sat down next to Aika. You are not wrong. It is the president who is wrong. Thank you for your hard work. With a helpless tone, Aika smoothed away Lolo's hair that was stuck to her cheeks due to sweat. When her brother reached out to her, Lulu closed her eyes nervously. As his fingers slowly caressed his cheek, his accelerated heartbeat became more intense. Against favoritism. This is not a preference. Is that so, Senior Lilith? There is no objection. The president is guilty. You see. After waiting for Lulu to calm down his breathing, under the leadership of Chiuke, everyone finally began to move towards their destination, the forest outside Chiu Academy. From 2 people at the beginning to 4 people now, as the saying goes, the plan can't keep up with the changes. Can Aika's original purpose to help Senior Lilith with magic training really go smoothly? The fresh earthy aroma surrounds the rain-washed forest, and crystalline rhinestones hang from the plants on both sides of the trail, dissolving the light into 7 different colors. Occasionally, you can see small monsters moving in the forest. This kind of first and second level monsters are basically no threat to humans. Instead, they add vitality to the forest. Small puddles can be seen everywhere on the ground after the rain. Senior Lilith always looked at her feet and followed Aika cautiously. Chiuke, be careful. Thanks. Chiuke and Lulu walked hand in hand behind the 2 of them. Lulu, who has lived in a mountain village since she was a child, has long been accustomed to such rugged forest paths like her brother. However, Chiuke always gets tripped by raised rocks or branches, so Lulu holds her hand. In this area, Aika and Lulu were familiar with the terrain during practical classes, not to mention Chiuke and Senior Lilith. After walking for more than 10 minutes, everyone arrived at the reserved open space. Not far from this clearing is the river that serves as the dividing line between the surrounding forest and the outer forest. This is also the main trunk of the river that runs through Shigetsuki Academy. Just here. By the way. Ika stopped in the center of the open space. He looked back at the two people outside the reservation. What are you two going to do? You can't just stand here and look at me. Practice with Senior Lilith, right? Luoluo and I will take a walk around. We can only enter here during class time. We finally got the permission. We must cherish this rare opportunity. Brother, Chiu and I won't go too far. If Chiu-K made such a guarantee, Ika and Senior Lilith would not be able to relax at all, but if Luoluo was also around, that would be another matter. Don't go too far, and don't irritate the monsters that don't look fierce. Next. After instructing the two people, Ika looked at Senior Sister Lilith. Without further delay, let's get started. He took off his backpack. In addition to flares and other emergency supplies, there was also lunch for two purchased from Moonlight Bath. When setting off, Chiu-K and Luoluo's share was added. Senior Lilith stood in the center of the clearing and activated her magic tool. Her starter is a ring on her middle finger set with a blue-violet diamond. Ika once heard from girls that wearing rings on different fingers seems to have different meanings, but she can't remember the specific content. Every time I look at Lilith Senpai's magic tools, I feel that they have a very unique look. Senior Lilith's magic tool is a staff nearly 1 meter long. The front end of the staff is composed of a ring connecting 3 long rhombus-shaped blades. The 3 long rhombus-shaped blades and the body of the staff together form a cross shape. Magic tools are essentially different from magic equipment. The popular magic tools can only speed up the activation of magic or other supernatural powers and reduce the loss of magic power. Some high-end magic tools have built-in magic formulas that can be released directly. Senior Lilith's staff is an auxiliary magic tool, while Chiu-K's magic tool, the Thorn Whip, is an offensive magic tool. Other types include device type, biological type, etc. Ika is not interested in this part of knowledge, so he only knows so much. Colorful natural elves appeared around Senior Lilith, floating and rotating around her, and some would stick to her cheeks and rub gently. Is Senior Lilith's physique that attracts natural spirits innate? I don't know about this. When I noticed, these children appeared next to me. Senior Sister Lilith stretched out her hand forward, and the elves surrounded her slender fingers and began to peck gently. I was able to pass the entrance examination of Shimizuki Academy, probably because of their blessing. Maybe it's because Lily Senpai has a special charm. Special charm. Well, that's how it feels to me. Not noticing the ripples of Lilith Senpai's emotions, Ika also unfolded the magically installed fiery eyes. Luoluo and Chiu-K returned to the open space where Ika and Senior Sister Lilith were on time during lunchtime. To be precise, food was the driving force that forced Chiu-K to return to the original place. Senior Lilith's suggestion was correct. If Chiu-K's lunch was left at Luoluo's place, she might not come back within the agreed time. In the afternoon, Chiu-K and Luoluo took a lunch break and explored the depths of the surrounding forest again, this time in a different direction. This time, not long after they left, Ika and Senior Lilith received messages from the two of them, saying that they had discovered something interesting. Classmate Ika, it's almost time to rest. Let's go to their place and have a look. It seemed that Lilith Senpai was interested in the interesting things found by the two men, so Ika converted the magic outfit back into a silver wrist wheel. Senior Lilith, please go over first and I'll clean up this place. PDA can determine the location of each other, so you don't have to worry about getting lost in the forest. Then please leave it to Ika-san. After completely cleaning up the traces left in the open space, Ika chased after Senior Lilith, who left early. The PDA showed the three of them gathered not far away. Ah! Just when they were about to see their figures, Luoluo's cry reached Ika's ears. His heart tightened, and he immediately quickened his pace, and vaguely heard the voices of Senior Lilith and Chiu-K. What happened? It was cute just now, but suddenly it became so weird. Ika pushed aside the green leaves in front of him, and then he saw a scene he shouldn't have seen. Chiuke was lying on his back, his legs being stretched apart trying to get together. The light blue slime bound her hands and feet, and through the slime's transparent body, the blue and white striped fabric under the skirt could be vaguely seen. Ugh, sticky. Chiuke, who was completely unable to free himself, groaned in shame. Luoluo knelt down next to Chiuke. Her uniform became messy due to the slime's movement. Baiju's shoulders were exposed and her long hair was spread over her shoulders. Despite this, she still tried her best to reach out to Chiuke and try to drive away the slime that was restraining her, but when she saw Ika suddenly appeared. Ah! Brother, don't look here. She immediately covered the open chest of her uniform. As a result, this action caused her foot to slip, and Luoluo, who lost her balance, fell on Chiuke, exposing more skin, and all the places that shouldn't be seen were seen. Ika-san, think of a solution quickly. Senior Lilith also had a wide open neckline, revealing most of her light pink underwear. She was also bound by the slippery slimes. The nature elves surrounded her, but they could only helplessly circle around the first-level slimes. They must have judged that if they attacked rashly, they might hurt Senior Lilith, so they were in a state of indecision like now. Even if you ask me to find a way. Only then did Ika realize what she had to do. The first-level slimes will not cause harm to humans. They mainly live in groups where there is water. After rain, they will appear in piles like this. As long as there is water, Senior Lilith, can you use the magic to summon water? The power of natural elves is not enough, only elemental magic can summon so much water. Can the water from the nearby river also be used? The river water should be diverted here. Senior Sister Lilith, can you ask the natural elves to make the ground here sink and gather the water together? Then I will. Ika faced the river not far away, and its wrist wheel transformed into a multi-barreled machine gun. Different from ordinary handheld firearms, its gun body was located under the trigger, and it had a wide handle modified for stability in the handheld area. Modify it based on Professor Kokina's theory. The barrels arranged in circular tubes merged into a large caliber barrel in the silver light. Ika uses her own magic power to activate the family crest in the magic suit. It is obvious that the real power is the magic power belonging to the magic suit, but Ika's mind has been able to understand and control this magic power as she pleases. The torrent of magic power that burst out from the muzzle violently penetrated the barrier that had been repaired not long ago, and the ground shook violently. Now, Senior Lilith. After receiving Ika's signal, Senior Lilith held the manifested staff tightly in her hand. The soil in the clearing they were in collapsed. It connects the channel created by Ika to lead here. The slime dissolved into the temporarily created puddle, and the water level only reached their calves. Slime dissolved in water will return to its original appearance after the water disappears. After that, because Ika touched the barrier of Frost Moon Academy, the discipline team was dispatched urgently and arrested the 4 principal criminals at the entrance to the surrounding forest. End La Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 65. The end of the semester has arrived as scheduled. As in previous years, the last 2 days of this month will start practical tests in the central square according to the school year from low to high. At that time, the parents of the students will be invited to be the audience to witness the growth of their children for half a year. According to tutor Tara, Ms. Elise always comes to the venue on time and will definitely be there this time. After discussing with Lilith, Ika decided to let Senior Lilith give full play to her practice results during this period of time during the practical test. If she sees that her daughter has grown up to be able to stand on her own, Ms. Elise will also recognize Senior Lilith's determination. The first grade class uses a lottery to determine the arrangement of pairs for the test. Due to their family backgrounds, Ika and Ling are unable to use their magic equipment in public, so they can only choose more comfortable magic equipment instead. Wei 11 was prohibited from using her specialty, enchantment magic, while Lugo Lugo was only good at basic magic except for healing magic. Therefore, after excluding differences in athletic ability, everyone's strength has been balanced in disguise. Aika's partner is none other than the most popular noble son of the god clan in Shigetsu Academy. This must be fate. Carlo patted Aika on the shoulder cheerfully, with a sunny smile on his face, which caused a burst of cheers from the girls in the audience. Aika looked at Luoluo's group. Luoluo, goal number 1. Although I don't understand it very well, I will try my best. The excited Chiuke and the smiling Luoluo were in completely different states, but there shouldn't be any problems with this group. Because Luoluo is here, there is no problem. Please take care of me, Zixi. Ling extended her hand in a friendly manner to the girl who was partnering with her. Zixi was her nickname among the girls. Zixi's movements felt timid. When holding Ling's outstretched hand, Zixi's hand repeated the movement of stretching out and then retracting. Sister Sama, please take care of me. Zixi lowered her head, not daring to meet Ling's eyes, and Ling didn't seem to know how to deal with this type of girl. Is there really no problem with the cooperation between these two people? Aika was worried. In comparison, Wei 11's group should be the most normal combination. Xiao 11, although you can only use basic magic on the field, we will never lose. Let's aim for first place. Abby 2. Being able to be assigned to the same group as a familiar friend is of great significance to the timid Wei 11. Moreover, Abby is also a very serious girl. If it were the two of them, there was indeed a possibility of winning first place in their grade group. From the drawing of lots to the official start of the practical test, there is only a short week to get familiar with your partner. But thanks to the fact that the draw is for students in the same class, they know each other relatively well, so a week is enough to practice coordination. On the day of the practical test, the auditorium was filled with spectators early. Different from usual gatherings, parents were present and the atmosphere felt a little more serious. Students learned about the scene through the panoramic projection screen in the preparation area in the central square. There is only one content in the practical test. Small volume suspended objects that appear randomly will be set up in the central square, and their positions are randomly determined by the system. The surface of the suspended object is covered with protective barrier magic released by the barrier teacher. Moreover, second and third year students are also restricted from wide area attack magic, so there is no need to worry about it being destroyed during the test. Possibility. Aika once expressed confusion because of the restrictions on the use of magic. Wouldn't this prevent him from showing his personal strength? Chiuke explained this. The main purpose of the practical skills test is to show the students' adaptability and magic control. Randomly appearing suspended objects will be scored according to the number of hits. If wide area attack magic is used, then this test will be the meaning has been lost. The floating objects in the first grade are not aggressive, while the floating objects in the second and third grades not only increase the aggressiveness, but the scoring items will also increase the attack power induced by the barrier covering them. In this way, the 4 people who participated in the practical test of Shimizuki Academy for the first time accepted the setting. The Ling and Zixi groups and the Luoluo and Kyuk groups are number 2 and number 4 respectively. The Aika and Carlo groups and the Wixi and AB groups are number 5 and number 8. Through the live broadcast on the big screen, Aika saw the calm performance of Ling, who was playing for the first time. Ling did not place all her hopes on basic magic. She just let the 2 magic tools Taideo cover the flames, and then took advantage of her physical strength to use the 2 swords to sweep away the suspended objects that appeared within the reach of the blades. Zixi used her magic weapon short bow to clean up the suspended objects in the air, and only a few fish slipped through the net. The scores of the 2 are naturally at the top. As for the Luoluo group, which is relatively at a disadvantage in anti-air magic. Hey! With the help of the innate motor nerves of the orcs, Chiuke jumped up from the ground. The surface of the thorn whip was covered with water. She danced the whip dexterously in mid-air, and the water shot out from the whip at various angles. By the time she landed back on the ground, her score had risen a lot. Lugo also cleverly used the sputtering properties of magic like Chiuke to clean up the suspended objects on the ground in an orderly manner. Senior Lilith saw Ica and his partner walking towards the center of the square on the screen. She clasped her hands in front of her chest, the only way she could cheer him on. Mother must be watching too. Ica-san knows this, so he will definitely. Ica and Carlo stopped in the middle of the field. At the same time, the countdown sound echoed in the central square through the broadcast. Ica took out the magic weapon twin guns. This magic weapon was very similar to the twin guns transformed by the fiery eyes, so Ica was quite used to it. Carlo's magic tool is a two-handed sword, and the division of labor between the two is obvious. Carlo, please. For the sake of your eldest lady, I will try my best to raise my score as well. It was still the same teasing tone as before, but now it sounded surprisingly trustworthy to Ica. Ica glanced at the audience stage and of course did not find Mrs. Elise. But that doesn't matter, he just needs to do his best. Then, let's get started. As soon as Ica finished speaking, the last timer sounded. In the end, the Ica and Carlo groups ranked in the upper reaches of the first grade, followed by the Luoluo and Kaiuk groups. Both groups were behind the Ling and Zixi groups with a very small score difference, while Wuxi and AI in the competition group, he stood on the first place without any suspense. Even though Wei 11's barrier magic was banned, her ability to control magic power has reached the level of a mentor. Wei 11 was born with a total amount of magic power that far exceeds that of ordinary people, and she can also release basic magic over long distances, so she can control everything whether it is the ground or suspended objects in the air. What she lacks in athletic ability is made up for by Abby using various enhancement magic from behind. Therefore, Wei 11 and Abby's combination of strength and tacit understanding achieved a perfect score for the first practical skills test in Shimatsuki Academy's history. Everyone had to be convinced by this result. Zioxi, Abby, congratulations. As soon as he returned to the preparation area, Luoluo immediately ran over and hugged the two people who had returned home with great honors. The game just now was really exciting. Ling also came over. I thought we could get the highest score, right, Zixi? She looked at her partner beside her, and Zixi lowered her head nervously. If I tried harder. What can I say? You've done a great job. Sister. Ling smiled and touched Zixi's head. Then she raised her head and looked at Ling with longing eyes. Teacher Letica clapped her hands gently. Okay, everyone, go back to your seats. The tests for other grades will start soon. Standing in the middle of the central square, Lilith felt many eyes from the audience. She has experienced this feeling many times so far, and Lilith does not feel particularly nervous. Still, she concentrated. The meaning today is different from the past. Among the many eyes focused on me and my partner, several of them contain the meaning of scrutiny. If the performance this time is unsatisfactory, it cannot be generalized from previous failures. Is he still supporting me? This unreasonable sense of security made Lilith feel the power welling up from the bottom of her heart. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When I opened my eyes again, there was only peace left in my heart. This was not the first time that the girl who was traveling with her had partnered with Lilith. Seeing that Lilith had recovered, she smiled and spoke. Have you adjusted yet? Your little boyfriend is watching too, success or failure depends on this. She gave a thumbs up to Lilith, and Lilith's calm heart was aroused by her partner's teasing. What kind of little boyfriend? Classmate Ica and I are not. I never said which child it was. Lilith's face turned red as her partner covered her mouth and tried to hold back a wicked smile. Just as she was about to continue her defense, the countdown tone started to sound. On the screen, Lilith Senpai blushed and waved her hands cutely, which was clearly visible to those watching the live broadcast. Senior Lilith seems to be talking to her partner's sister. Luoluo was curious about what happened between them. It seems that Senior Lilith is well prepared, so there should be no problem. Aika held her chin, interpreting Senior Lilith's behavior. There's no sense of tension, those two seniors. Is this your lord? No, 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 it's impossible. Ling waved her hand and rejected Wei 11's longing. You guys, you can learn a lot by watching the tests of the senior students. Teacher Letica walked to the seats of the four people and reminded them in a low voice. The second-year students' actual skills test results include scoring items such as attack strength. The magic sputtering properties used by Wei 11 and Luoluo are not applicable to second-year students. However, the magic used by second-year students who have studied specialized subjects for a year is no longer limited to basic magic. Lilith held the magic tool staff in her hand. The light green wind spirit spun and turned into a tornado about as high as a teaching building in the blink of an eye. That height could just reach the highest suspended object. The senior sister she was partnering with didn't make any special moves, she just stood closer to Senior Lilith. The two of them stood in the center of the tornado, which was the safest position. The suspended objects still appear randomly as time goes by, and in the blink of an eye they are caught in the tornado that constantly adjusts the radius. This is the detailed instruction given internally by Lilith as the summoner to her nature spirits. Although this was only the first group for the second grade, Aika believed that there would be no other group like this. The whole process was so smooth, with only the sound of wind echoing in the venue. What exactly is Senior Lilith planning to do? The test time has come to an end, and Luoluo still doesn't understand Senior Sister Lilith's intention. Their scoreboard only adds points at a slow speed. By dispersing the magic power over such a large area, the attack power is almost zero, just as the machine judged. If the natural spirits were converted to attack now, the suspended matter released from the tornado would fly everywhere. That approach would just dig its own grave. Her partner hasn't taken action yet. What kind of magic does the other senior specialize in? Senior Lilith is gathering the targets in a range, and she hasn't started scoring yet. She probably wants to catch them all in one fell swoop at the end. Wei 11 carefully speculated on the intentions of the two people, but this conflicts with the testing rules. Isn't it forbidden to use wide area attack magic? Senior Lilith's wind cannot cause damage, so it will not be recorded as a foul. Aika also considered Wei 11's puzzled question. If wide area attack magic cannot be used, then this strategy will not work. Is it almost there? Well, we'll start in the last 10 seconds. Senior Lilith continued to concentrate on controlling the radius of the tornado. The reason why the last 10 seconds is set is because no new suspended objects will appear by then. The last 10 seconds countdown begins. Inside the tornado, the water curtain rises in a circle slightly smaller than its radius, and is then sucked into the tornado, moving concentrically with the suspended matter. Then, thunder flashed. The end prompt sounded, and at the same time, the scoreboard showed the same score as Wei 11 and Abby's team. The venue erupted in cheers and cheers. Wouldn't that magic be judged as a wide area attack magic? Senior Lilith's partner should be the same as Xiaoun, who specializes in elemental magic. Those magics are strengthened on top of basic magic, and then combine the basic magic to make use of the conductivity of water, and there is no foul play. Wei 11's explanation is basically understandable. In terms of results, Senior Lilith achieved the highest score in the practical test. Suddenly, as if to overwhelm the cheers in the venue, a piercing siren sounded from the radio. What happened? It's not a good thing anyway. Ling and Luoluo looked at each other, they didn't know the meaning of the siren. But from the commotion around them, they sensed the crisis. Ling's PDA sounded a beep, and at the same time, an announcement also sounded at the venue. Notify all personnel present that a Level 2 alert order is now issued. All personnel leave the central square in an orderly manner, and at the same time, magic is allowed to be used in Chiyu Academy in emergencies. The discipline team assists parents of students to leave. All instructors present strengthen the defense of the central square. Aika quickly opened the PDA. The projection screen has been turned off, but the situation in the central square can still be seen through the communication network. Senior Lilith, why? Senior sister Lilith has not left the scene yet. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 66. When Lilith heard the sirens and radio announcements, she was ready to leave the central square quickly. The physical barrier of the auditorium has been deployed, and the interior of the central square cannot be seen from the auditorium. Lilith, come this way. The ground suddenly began to shake, and the amplitude became larger and larger. The Level 2 alert meant that unknown monsters had invaded Frost Moon Academy, and there were unnatural vibrations underground. Lilith thought of the possibility of the source of the earthquake. Cracks in the ground arose, earth and rocks burst from the ground flying, and a pair of huge claws protruded from the sunken ground. Why do fourth-level burrowing beetles appear in such a place? Lilith's voice was trembling. In her impression, this kind of monster should live in a hot and dry area, not an area with a warm and humid climate all year round. Lilith, cheer up. Get out of here before it notices us. It's okay, I'm just a little surprised. Lilith took her partner's hand and stood up, her magic wand always kept visible. I'm sorry, can I ask you a favor at this time? Aika and Wei 11 broke into the block central square against the flow of people. The staff here had already gone to participate in the evacuation, so there was no one to stop them from breaking in. Ling had to assist the work of the discipline team. Luoluo, who knew the inside story, could not stop Aika and did not have enough ability to participate in the battle against the monsters. She chose to help Chiuke carry out the work of the student union and borrowed the power of Xuanjiu Academy to help Aika as much as possible. Ka and Wixi offer assistance. Through the communication network, they learned that Senior Lilith was still alone in the central square. There was no sound in the video, and Aika didn't know what she said to her partner's senior sister. From the video, it could be seen that she and her partner seemed to have a dispute, and in the end only Senior Lilith stayed where she was. The cave beetle is a fourth-level monster. Senior Lilith is in danger alone. That guy, he clearly said that when a second-level monster or above appears, the only option is to run away, so why? The smell of rust came from Aika's clenched lower lip, and he swallowed back the vomiting sensation. Lilith. When she heard someone calling her name directly, Senior Lilith reacted immediately while holding onto the magical staff and confronting the monster. Aika, classmate. What are you doing? Before Senior Lilith could finish speaking, Aika grabbed her wrist and walked back. Feeling inexplicably anxious, he didn't notice at all that he had omitted the honorific title for Senior Lilith. Wait a minute, classmate Aika. Unexpectedly, Senior Sister Lilith still insisted on breaking away from Aika's hand. We can't leave here now, someone must be here. Stop talking nonsense. It's impossible to win, Lilith, don't you know very well? I know it's impossible to defeat it here. There was no fear in Senior Lilith's body, but I also want to be able to do something. The cave beetle will not stay in a place without prey, it sneaks into the ground. If it moves, the defense of the central square will be completely ineffective. At that time, the people who are currently taking refuge will become its target. Shimizuki Academy has not yet determined the type of monster, and the current measures are meaningless against the cave beetle. I have asked my partner to pass on the information. Even so, Aika held down Senior Lilith's shoulders and used her hands unconsciously. Even so, we shouldn't use our lives as a bargaining chip. Obviously we don't even have the means to protect ourselves now. If an accident happens, otherwise, Mrs. Elise, and everyone else will not be as grateful to you as you imagine. Your life does not belong to you alone. It hurts. Tears welled up in Senior Lilith's eyes. This is the first time Ika has seen her showing signs of weakness since meeting her. Yeah, sorry. Ika quickly let go of Senior Sister Lilith. His hands were a little numb due to excessive force, and his excitement was cooled down. Tears fell from Senior Lilith's eyes, and when she noticed the tears streaking her cheeks, she quickly raised her hand to wipe away the traces of tears. That kind of thing, of course I know. Senior Lilith, Brother Ika means no harm, please forgive him, we will stay with you to buy time. Way 11 held Senior Lilith's hanging hands. But Senior Lilith looked at Ika at a loss. I'm angry just because you want to bear everything alone. I'm sorry. Senior Sister Lilith's tone was a little lower, but, I'm worried that you will also. Are the questions you repeatedly confirmed to me before just a joke? Of course not, Senior Sister Lilith defended loudly, this is just, I'm sorry. Way 11, the three of us, is it possible for the three of us to escape unscathed from this kind of thing? I think if you try your best, you should be able to. If you try your best, that means Way 11 will no longer seal the strength of the Holy Sea Knights, and Ika will no longer hide the existence of the magic equipment. Senior Lilith, I'm sorry, I was a little impulsive just now. It wasn't until she calmed down that Ika realized that she had not understood Senior Lilith's determination. It was obvious that both of them were just sticking to their own principles. I should be the one who should apologize to you, but let's save these words for later. The ground shook violently again, and the cave-dwelling beetle that had been motionless used its huge claws to support the ground and slowly emerged from the burrow. This is the fourth level of monster. On the body covered by a hard shell, there are 5 pairs of bristly limbs extending out from the left and right sides. The most threatening thing is probably the pair of claws that can easily break rocks. Brother Ika, I will expand my domain here so that no one else can see me. Thank you, Way 11, it's been a big help. With Way 11's blinding method, Ika can let go and unfold the magic weapon Eye of Fiery Eyes. Way 11 smiled shyly, and then the scene around her suddenly changed to a seaside beach. The first time Way 11 used the field of high-level enchantment magic in front of Ika was in the tavern of Pufa Town. Ika was not surprised to see the hallucinatory environment change again. Instead, Senior Lilith, who had never been exposed to this kind of magic, looked around in panic as the scene was changed. Ika was just about to explain to Senior Lilith that Warcraft did not give him such time. Ika noticed this and hugged Senior Lilith to get out of the way of the paw that was smashed down. Ika. Senior Lilith, who was held in Ika's arms, stuttered when she spoke. Now we can only deal with this guy in one go before we can have time to talk. Probably sensing that Way 11's huge magic power filled the entire space, the cave beetle suddenly began to run rampant as if it was stimulated by some kind of stimulus. Ika, the head is its weak point, Senior Lilith, who was released by Ika after being out of danger, reminded Ika loudly, that's a softer place than the abdomen. Even if you say so. Ika reluctantly avoided the path of the cave beetle. There is no way to unfold the magic equipment like this. The magic bullets of the twin guns cannot cause effective damage to the hard shell of the burrowing beetle. Senior Lilith used the natural elves to continuously create roadblocks to hinder the activities of the cave beetles, but she did not create a decisive opportunity. Brother Ika, Senior Lilith should be able to control it for a short time. Can you use that time to attack? There's no problem with unfolding the magic equipment, Ika gritted her teeth and responded to Way 11, but it's not hard to say whether it can hit or not. The head of a burrowing beetle is significantly different in size compared to its body. What's more, any creature has the instinct to protect its own weak points, and that pair of Keeley is enough to protect such a small head. I'm here to help. Classmate Way 11, the barrier magic cannot be superimposed. Your body will not be able to bear it. Way 11's reluctance could be heard in her voice. To maintain the field of high-level enchantment magic and to defend against the uninterrupted attacks of monsters, Way 11's petite body would be impossible to hold on, and it would most likely cause irreversible damage and leave sequelae. If it were me, I should be able to do it, certainly. However, Way 11's proposal is the only way to win the possibility of everyone escaping unscathed. Ika and Senior Lilith could only blame themselves for being helpless, and then do what Way 11 said. I will definitely stop it. Senior Lilith raised her magic weapon staff. The sand on the ground rises high like conscious tentacles, and the toughness strengthened by the natural elves is no less than a chain, tightly binding the cave beetle's body. Mechanical Alchemy Mobile 6 links. The silver fort appears. This is the weapon that Ika deployed when fighting the monsters that attacked Lilith Senpai, but it is no longer a prototype, but has been comprehensively improved. There are control gears at the connection parts of the 6 parallel barrels. Device that can stably use the main gun for saturation attacks. Several pure white magic arrays are stacked layer by layer from large to small in front of the parallel barrels, and the magic power in the magic array is compressed layer by layer. Ika could feel her whole body bathed in Way 11's warm magic power. Following her guidance, she aimed at the bound monster. Brother Ika, I am here. It was as if he heard Way 11's soft voice, and she was within arm's reach at this moment. Following this, a torrent of silver magic power passed through the magic circle and penetrated directly through the body covered with hard shell. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 67. Senior Lilith, I really won't run away again. Humph, I won't believe what you say. Senior Sister Lilith hugged Ika's arm tightly in front of everyone. If it weren't for the help of the President and Carlo, you would have gone to nowhere. Got it? But, Mrs. Elise will never give me a good look, right? Obviously you saved me again, show some confidence again. In Mrs. Elise's opinion, in that case, the most appropriate thing to do is to take you out. I have already explained it to my mother. Judging from her attitude, there is absolutely no need to worry. Let's not talk about it for now. You must cooperate with me later. Of course I can't steal the spotlight. It's almost time to let me go. Everyone is watching. Well. Feeling embarrassed after being reminded, Senior Lilith reluctantly let go of Ika's arm. Her ring accidentally fell off when it brushed against Ika's sleeve and fell at Ika's feet. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll do it, Senior Sister Lilith. Ika bent down to pick up the small diamond ring, and then stretched out her other hand to Senior Lilith. Senior Lilith didn't understand what Ika meant at first, but she still obediently placed her hand gently in Ika's palm. Ika's hands were different from his own. They were big and strong. He only noticed them when they were folded like this. Senior Lilith stared at the overlapped palms of the two people, and then moved her eyes to her feet. Well, which finger is it worn on? By chance, a woman with a child passed behind Senior Lilith. Ika caught a glimpse of the sparkle on the woman's fingers, and he borrowed his wisdom directly. Ika carefully put the diamond ring in her hand on Senior Lilith's ring finger. Did you wear it wrong? No, it's not. Senior Sister Lilith immediately retracted her hand and hid her hands behind her back, saying as quietly as a mosquito, hurry up, Mother is still waiting. Senior Lilith seemed a little panicked, but Ika didn't know why. But it is true as she said, it is very rude to make Mrs. Elise wait for too long. In order to keep Mrs. Elise in a happy mood, she must not be late. Ika quickly caught up with Senior Lilith who was already walking in front. In a high-end restaurant near the airport, Senior Lilith and Ika sat opposite Mrs. Elise, both of their faces slightly red. Because there was a lot of delay on the road, it was already the limit to be able to arrive within the agreed time. Ika. Exist. Mrs. Elise called Ika's name first after they met, and he quickly straightened his back and responded seriously. Seeing how nervous he looked, Mrs. Elise covered her mouth with her hands and smiled gracefully. How is Miss Way 11's health? She has not been discharged from the hospital yet. However, she was not injured. The doctor said she can recover as long as she takes a good rest. The feat of two first-year students and a second-year student working together to defeat a fourth-level monster has spread throughout Shimizuki Academy. It is even said that various forces related to Shimizuki Academy have also learned about the news, including the Bis Empire and the Holy See. It is possible that the association has also caught wind of it. I will also visit Miss Wixie before I leave. Mrs. Elise returned her thoughts to the two people in front of her. What I want to talk about now is about the two of you. I will reserve my own opinion on Lilith's thoughts. Please wait. Ika suppressed the urge to stand up. Senior Lilith's hard work and determination, you should have. Mother, senior sister Lilith suddenly stretched out her hand to signal Ika to stop defending herself. At the same time, she mustered up the courage to face Mrs. Elise and spoke out her inner thoughts, although I still have many immature things. Place, but I won't give up just like that. Because, as a boy, Ika's classmates will support me throughout my life. Senior Lilith finished speaking in one breath. Because of her nervousness, she didn't even control her volume well. The surrounding guests all looked at their table. Wait, senior sister Lilith. And, senior sister Lilith ignored Ika, who wanted to explain something. She put her right hand on her chest, and the diamond ring on her ring finger reflected the light in the store. This ring was also given to me by Ika, put it on. The last sentence was almost shouted. Heat seemed to come out of her cheeks, but she still faced Lady Elisa's gaze. This must be the first time that Senior Lilith has done such a bold behavior in front of Madame Elise, so even Madame Elise, who has always been calm and composed, was frightened by her. After a while, Mrs. Elise regained her composure. It's so similar to the scene back then. I don't know what Mrs. Elise recalled, but she actually accepted the scene. Lilith, I didn't expect you to be like me back then. Mrs. Elise did not finish her words, she turned to look at Ika. Mr. Ika, I didn't expect that you had made a clear statement to my daughter. Mrs. Elise picked up the teacup that was no longer steaming and took a sip. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ika quickly used her eyes to signal Senior Lilith to explain clearly to Mrs. Elise, but she deliberately avoided Ika's eye contact. You are very similar to this child's father. I reluctantly admit your feelings for Lilith. Mrs. Elise put down the teacup, however, I will not agree immediately. Lilith is still a child. You will have more in the future. Spend more time getting to know each other. Eh? What expansion is this? It was as if I had been assigned something very important in my life without saying anything. Ika, please take care of me from now on. Senior Lilith's smile was as warm as the spring Sunday. And La Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 70. There is only the last week of December left. The heavy snowfall in previous years has not arrived as expected, but the biting cold wind is enough to make people lazy. As representatives of civilized weapons, heaters are still working hard today. The central heater in the administrator's cabin is of the same design as the heater in the student dormitory. It can send the heat generated by the host in the hall to the rooms on the second floor through special pipes. However, because the supply area is smaller than that of student dormitories, the central heater here consumes very little energy, and there is no problem even if it is turned on all night. Ika is now in her room, circling with the dense black letters and strange patterns in the book. The final practical test 3 days ago was suspended for 1 day due to an accident. Shimatsuki Academy repaired the damage to the central square within 1 day, and the test ended without incident the next day. The parents of the students did not express any dissatisfaction with the accident, but spoke highly of Shiyu Academy's timely and reasonable handling of the incident. So overall, this incident ended peacefully. This is followed by theoretical testing. If it's Lugo who took careful notes in class, or Wei 11 who has already mastered most of it, you probably don't need to pay special attention to this little test. Although I don't know how Ling's ability to accept new knowledge is, she is definitely much better than myself. Aika rubbed her eyes, which were getting sore, and looked away from the font that was as disturbing as a colony of ants. It was pitch black outside the window, and the moonlight was deeply buried in the thick clouds unique to winter. Just like Aika's mood at this time. As I was thinking this, I felt thirsty again. Aika reached out and picked up the cup on the table. The empty weight told him that there was no longer a drop of water left in it. Aika didn't want to move now, so she put the empty cup back to its place, and then lay down lazily on the open book. Ling in the innermost room was in a similar state of mind to Aika, but she hadn't given up yet. Wei 11, who had been helping her review, finally couldn't resist the temptation of the heater and fell asleep leaning on her shoulder. Suddenly feeling a light weight on her arm, Ling raised her head and looked at the clock hanging on the wall. Today is about to end in half an hour. If it were normal Wei 11, she would obediently listen to herself and go to bed before 11 o'clock in the evening. Today should have been the same as usual, but Wei 11's explanation of the knowledge points was simple and easy to understand, and even I, who had always resisted learning such rigid theories, accidentally got immersed in it. By the time he reacted, it was already this time. Ling gently carried the sleeping Wei 11 to the bed and covered her with a quilt. "Well, I'll go to bed later. Remember that the coffee I just bought is." Ling muttered softly and took his empty water glass out of the room. By the way, it would be nice if there was a drinking water device in every room. It would be really troublesome to have to go to the lobby to get water every time, but I am very lucky to be able to live here. If I have any more extravagant wishes, if you do, you may be punished by God. Ling simply gave up the idea. Passing by Luoluo and Aika's room, their doors were closed tightly, so I didn't know if they were sleeping. Wait a minute and go to the window to see if the lights are on in their room. Ling found the newly bought coffee beans at the moonlight bath in the cabinet of the kitchen counter, and poured some of them into the grinder. Wei 11 got this grinder back from Professor Coconut. Although Professor Coconut ordered this machine, he always found it troublesome to do it himself, so he could only pile it in the corner to collect dust. 2 months ago, because Aika went to visit Sister Lilith's ward alone, Ling and Luoluo, who were left behind, accompanied Wei 11 to visit Professor Coconut. Although Wei 11 showed a strong sense of resistance at first, after that experience, she was able to go alone whenever she received an email from Professor Coconut. It will take a while for the water to heat up. While waiting, Ling walked into the bathroom. Luoluo gently opened the door of Aika's room. She would not enter a room without her brother's permission. But after knocking on the door for a while, there was no movement in the room. Before coming here, I had already noticed the light leaking from my brother's room through the window. So Luoluo turned the handle of Aika's door out of curiosity, and then opened the door effortlessly. You can see your brother sleeping on the desk at the door, unaware of the intruder in his room. Luoluo crept into the house and gently closed the door. Glancing back, my brother still showed no sign of waking up. She took off her indoor slippers, and her feet wrapped in knee socks stepped on the wooden floor without making a sound, and there was no feeling of cold. Luoluo came to his brother's desk. There were books and papers piled up in a mess on the table. It was obvious that he just flipped through them randomly and then threw them aside when he was not interested. Luoluo, who had been with his brother day and night for 14 years, could tell at a glance. She sighed slightly and put the paper bag she brought with her at her feet. Brother, brother, get up. Aika, who was gently pushed by Lululo, opened her hazy sleepy eyes, and her vision was blurry. A faint fragrance that does not belong to his room drifts into his nose. Even with his eyes closed now, he knows who is standing next to him. Well, Lululo, what time is it now? There are still dozens of minutes until the next day. Have I slept for so long? Aika's chaotic brain was impacted by Lululo's nonchalant words, and his sleepiness completely dissipated in an instant. Lululo was wearing the thin pajamas she liked very much. Her long sky blue hair was tied into two bunches and hung down on her chest. She always dresses like this when she is at home. Although she had the support of a heater, Aika was always worried about whether she would catch a cold with so little clothing. But Lululo is not only good at taking care of others, but also takes care of himself. As the brother who watched her grow up, Aika firmly believed this without hesitation. Brother. Lululo stretched out his hand and stacked the books randomly placed on the table. If you want to sleep, go to bed. Are you going to spend the night at the desk like this? When you get up tomorrow, you will have to take leave because your whole body is sore. Of course I won't sleep here until dawn. Aika also started to tidy up the desk with the help of Lululo to cover up her shyness at being woken up by her sister. It's just that these things are too boring and don't feel like anything. Practicality. I watched it for 2 hours straight and my head was spinning. Even so, it can't be a reason to be lazy. Lululo finished the work at hand skillfully, then looked at his brother with his hands on his hips. If you don't pass the theory test, you will have to stay in the academy for 2 months during the winter vacation. I would like to receive tutoring here, that would be even more boring. Of course I know this. Aika looked away. The child who could help him pass the theoretical test was standing in front of him, but Aika couldn't make such a shameless request in order to take into account his face as an elder brother. How's your review going? In order to stop Lululo from focusing on her review results, Aika asked her this instead. Well. Lululo glanced at the books on his brother's desk. I have basically memorized the more important parts. But there are still 4 days to start the theoretical test, and until that day, I have to keep flipping through the books in order to. I promise I won't forget it. If I could read all these books within these 4 days, it would be great, Aika secretly complained in her heart, but of course this thought was not revealed in front of Lululo. It's amazing, really. Hee. Lululo smiled shyly, but brother, it doesn't seem to be going well, right? The smile has not diminished. Oops. Brother, it's getting late today, so I won't say more. If brother has already made plans to study during the holiday, I have my own way. The sister who has been with him for so many years has disappeared, and now Aika can only see the angel with black wings behind her. By the way, I came here for something else this time. Lululo put away his black wings and squatted down. Only then did Aika notice the paper bag that had been lying at her feet. What's this? Clang, accompanied by a strange sound effect, Lululo took out a piece of knitted fabric from the paper bag, put it on first and see how it feels. Squat down a little. Oh. Aika bent down slightly, and Lululo wrapped it around his neck, and then carefully adjusted the position. Is this a scarf? Well, because this kind of weather really requires a scarf. Aika stood up straight and touched the soft new scarf around her neck. For the first time, the weaving was very good. Lululo was originally going to say it himself, but was caught off guard by his brother. Why do you know this is me? Why, I guess intuitively. It feels like Lolo. My feeling is. Lululo buried his head deeply, completely covering his flushed face. No, it's better not to say it. But why did you suddenly think of knitting it yourself? It would be more convenient to buy it. Wait, Lululo, let go. Before Aika could finish her words, Luoluo grabbed both ends of the scarf and pulled hard on both sides. Idiot brother. After calming down, Luoluo let go of Ika. Ika, who almost suffocated, finally breathed the long-lost air again, but when she took a deep breath, it was also filled with that light fragrance. Sorry, it's my fault. Elder brother. Ika put her arm around Luoluo's small shoulders and hugged her gently. Luoluo took a moment to react. She pressed her hand against Ika's abdomen, but her small strength was not comparable to Ika's. Actually, I'm quite happy to receive your gift. This can't be called a gift. There are still many places that haven't been woven yet. There is no such thing. This is the best gift I have ever received. Ika touched Luoluo's long, smooth aqua blue hair. I will cherish it, thank you. Then you must take good care of it. Luoluo gave up resistance and naturally lowered his hands. Ling walked up the stairs with the steaming coffee that had just been brewed. Luoluo just closed the door of Ika's room. The two met in an unexpected place. Ling, Sister Ling, aren't you asleep yet? Even without looking in the mirror, Luoluo knew that her current smile was abnormal. Obviously he wanted to talk to Ling as usual, but the moment he saw her, his heart seemed to be grabbed, and he felt an indescribable feeling of tension. This tension has been conveyed through the slightly trembling voice, and even if I use a smile as a remedy, it cannot go smoothly. There are too many things to carry. If I don't work hard, I won't be able to sleep peacefully even if I'm lying on the bed. Probably because it was too late, Ling's brain was not clear enough, so he didn't seem to notice anything strange about Luoluo. She answered Luoluo in her usual tone. This gap gave Luoluo a psychological buffer, and the expected questions did not reach his ears. Luoluo, how's your review going? In order to make my brother a little nervous, I deliberately told a little lie. Luoluo turned what he was thinking into words, but at the same time he kept blaming himself in his heart. Ling finally focused the topic on the final review, but she mentioned that person again. Sister Ling, what is that? Asking knowingly. Coffee. Tomorrow is the weekend, so it doesn't matter if you get up a little later, so prepare to tackle more in one go tonight. Where's Xiao 11? I just went to bed, and I'm a little worried about whether staying up late will disturb her. Sister Ling, come to my room to review. I won't sleep for a while. Then I'm sorry to bother you. I'm going to make a cup of coffee too. Cup. Luoluo returned to his room in a panic. Ling hesitated for a moment, then quickly walked past the closed first door and entered Luoluo's room. Endless Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 71. However, it didn't go as Ling hoped. She was woken up by the vibration of the PDA on her pillow early in the morning. Way 11 beside her moved slightly. She slept well, but occasionally took her hands out of the quilt. Ling doesn't have the habit of getting up in the middle of the night, so it's already morning when she finds out. Thanks to the central heater that was left on all night, Way 11 has not had a cold yet. She didn't know that the other 3 people didn't need to sleep with the heater on at night. This was a measure taken to take care of her body. This time, Ling himself had to thank Huan Lu. When I get out of the quilt, I don't feel the resistance that is unique to winter. She picked up the still vibrating PDA and walked outside the room. Hey, Chiuke. It's me. Why do I look listless? It's already 8 o'clock. Actually, I've been thinking about something recently. Study meetings. Think about it, wouldn't it be much more efficient if everyone reviewed together? Yes, then what? So let's have one too. The location will be in your dormitory. There's nothing inconvenient about it, right? There is really no inconvenient place. Then it's decided, I'll be over in a while. After finishing the call with Chiuke in a daze, Ling had no intention of returning to bed. Speaking of which, who is preparing breakfast today? I feel hungry when I smell this. Aika was the second person to get up. Has everyone else gotten up yet? What do you think? It seems like you asked a nonsense question. Aika waved her hand and walked into the bathroom. After washing up, Ling's breakfast has been prepared. Oh, I feel very rich today. Aika walked to the cooking table. Is this apron newly bought? I don't think I have seen it before. It's just for changing your mood. By the way, Chiuke said in the morning that he would come to our house for a study session today. President? She must have reviewed it all. After all, she is the monitor of our class. She seems to be quite serious during class. She should be similar to Luo. Did you go to bed late last night? Ling's hand paused for a moment. How did you see that? Your eyes. Don't go out of your way to say such things. Obviously you asked me, so I told you. Ling's fist landed on Aika's chest, a little hard. Idiot. I'll wake them both up. All that's left is to put breakfast on the table. Ling took off her apron, hung it by the kitchen counter, and hurried to the second floor. When Luo and Wei 11 were already seated at the dining table, Ling Ke arrived late. The dark circles under my eyes that were not very obvious before are now completely invisible. Chiuke wants to come to our house? But there is a study meeting. There's nothing we can do to help. Luo and Wei 11 looked at each other awkwardly. Perhaps this was teacher Letica asking the president to use this excuse to make a surprise inspection of our review status. No, this possibility basically does not exist. Aika simply denied Ling's delusion of being murdered. Near noon, Chiuke visited the administrator's cabin. After hearing the doorbell, Luo, who happened to be in the hall, got up and opened the door. Chiuke, welcome. Oh, is this the rumored love nest of Aika? What rumors did you hear? Huh? It's nothing, just talking casually. Chiuke took off his boots at the entrance and put on the plush slippers for guests. You hit a good time, Chiuke. It's almost lunch. Aika noticed that Chiuke had arrived at the window of the room on the second floor. Chiuke did not wear a cold-proof coat outside his uniform, but only wore a red scarf and a cute hat that could cover his ears. Ahaha, I got up very early to get ready, but when I was passing by the moonlight bath, I was stopped by senior sister Sira, so I wasted a little time. Chiuke was a little embarrassed to say it. Speaking of senior sister Sira, I remember that I once made an agreement with Chiuke. By the way, it was to let Chiuke work in the moonlight bath as an employee for one day. I think we just discussed this matter. Chiuke, we will go and see it too. Don't say it. Chiuke ran over in a panic and wanted to cover Aika's mouth. But the height difference is too big. Only Aika and senior sister Lilith knew about this agreement. Chiuke found out what kind of agreement he had accepted only after the fact. Regardless of whether he is the student council president or not, the agreement must be strictly adhered to, so Chiuke finally decided on a time with the waiters at the moonlight bath. She has been hiding this from other people. Of course, those part-time students will definitely spread the news. Now all Chiuke can do is try his best to reduce the number of people who will come to watch on that day. Brother, what are you going to see? Luo, who was behind Chiuke, didn't know what was going on, so he confusedly asked Aika, who seemed to know something. This. Chiuke, who was lying on Aika's chest, stared at him with big pitiful eyes. It's nothing, don't worry about it. Aika still used the same old-fashioned method to fool him. Just because the other party was Luo, if she said this, she would not continue to ask. Where are Ling and Wei 11? The two of you are still in the room. I'll call them. It's almost time to prepare lunch. Brother, in your mind, We are just responsible for helping you prepare food. Do we exist like servants? Luoluo showed a sad expression, but Aika could tell at a glance that she was pretending. It's up to you, Chiuke. Eh, it's really like a family. We are family after all. It must be because I am at home now. When I was in the classroom, this feeling was not as strong. Eh? Don't we feel like brothers and sisters outside? Luoluo was greatly shocked by Chiuke's words. It's just not that strong. Although I don't know how people outside the academy feel, but the entire Shigetsuki Academy knows about you siblings. It's really disturbing to be so famous. After Aika learned about everyone's rumors from Senior Lilith, she asked the three girls around, but everyone said they had no idea. I asked the classmates in the class and they all gave Aika the same answer. In this case, it shouldn't be very important. Because the final test was approaching, Aika temporarily put this matter behind her. While the three of them were talking, the sound of a door closing was heard upstairs. I'm coming. Aika looked towards the stairs, and the figures of Ling and Wei 11 were revealed. Chiuke, welcome. Wei 11's eyes lit up when she saw Chiuke. She carefully walked down the stairs and came to Chiuke. This hat is so cute. Did you buy it in the business district? No, my friend made this for me. Can I touch it? Please. Wow. Wei 11 reached out and touched the pointed tips on both sides of the hat, and the ears wrapped inside twitched slightly. It feels a little itchy. Ah, sorry. Wei 11 quickly let go of her hand. Aika, we are preparing lunch, please don't stand in the way. I'm not blocking the road. It's really just like the rumors. Chiuke looked at the four people and muttered to himself. Chiuke, just wait here. It will be done soon. But Chiuke didn't listen to Wei 11. I want to come too. Well, it's me who's disturbing you after all, so I'm helping you prepare lunch as a thank you. But asking guests to help prepare, this kind of thing. Luoluo looked at Aika in embarrassment, asking for his opinion, and Ling also looked at him. Why are you all looking at me? This matter requires the consent of the family head. Chiuke teased Aika like this. What kind of family leader? Aika sighed, isn't this good? And Chiuke hopes so, so let her do it. Chiuke confidently made a scissors gesture to everyone. In terms of cooking, Chiuke can indeed be on the same level as Luoluo. Because my home is a family restaurant, even if I don't want to learn, my parents will force me to watch from the side, and I will learn it without knowing it. This is how she explained it. If you have a chance, let me go and visit. Me too. Are you two so interested in cooking? You don't have to worry about it. Neither Ling nor Wei 11 answered Aika's question directly. Please be sure to come to my house and you can have free desserts. Great, I want to go too. Luoluo, I'm so excited when it comes to dessert. Aika rubbed her head. Hey. With Chiuke's participation, today's lunch was the most luxurious one. All the ingredients stored in the freezer have been used up. In fact, this amount was too much for 5 people, but an inexplicable little competition seemed to have arisen between them, and when they came to their senses, they had already finished a table full of dishes. Because they all tasted so good, everyone ate them all without any difficulty in the end. The study meeting officially started in an hour, and the location was unanimously decided to be Aika's room. Speaking of which, there really weren't many things in Aika's room, and his room wasn't as messy as an average boy's room. In Aika's words, this is thanks to Luoluo's educational achievements over the years. But there was no table in the room where everyone could sit together. If this is the case, I have it in my room. Ling raised her hand. When did you buy that thing? Wei 11 and I live together. There will always be times when we need it. Just wait for me. Let me help you. You wait here, Wei 11 and I are enough. Ling firmly refused to let Ika enter her room. After a while, the two slowly moved the round low table into Ika's room. Then, Chiuke, please give me some advice. Everyone spread their books and notebooks on the table, and then all looked at the initiator of the study meeting. Chiuke looked at everyone in confusion. Is there something on my face? She reached out and touched her cheek, but of course she felt nothing. Shouldn't you be the one to host it? Why? Why, Ling thought for a moment, because you are the monitor. And he's also the student council president. Wei 11 added on the side. Well, that's what you think it should be. Chiuke was convinced by them. She rolled up her sleeves, revealing her arms with no visible muscles. Then Chiuke couldn't hold on to this energy for even 5 minutes. If you want to ask why. Chiuke, when drawing the magic circle, how are the basic structural points determined? It seems like both sides of this formula are not equal. Did I copy it wrong in my notes? Chiuke, please let me take a look at your notes. Chiuke, here. Chiuke could barely answer the first few questions, but gradually, her ears drooped. I'm sorry. Finally she couldn't stand it anymore and admitted the truth. I came to the study meeting because I didn't know how to review at all. Image. Sitting in the first row of the classroom, Chiuke only remembered a few notes, and the key points in the book were simply marked. Of course, it would be impossible for one person to review in this case, and Ika, who was in exactly the same situation as Chiuke, felt this deeply. Chiuke, you are the monitor. I know, that's why I can't find other students to hold study meetings. Have you never thought of listening carefully to the class? Ling, you have no right to criticize her for sleeping in class. Ika kept these words in her heart. Only practical classes can allow me to show my true strength. A certain guy with a simple mind and strong limbs also said the same thing as you. It's not your turn to speak. Seeing that the topic was suddenly pointed at him, Ika couldn't help but refute Ling. As you can see, Luoluo and Wei 11, I can only leave this to you. What supports you in saying such a confident thing? Because I take this test seriously. I mean it too. Brother, sister Ling, let's come and study. As long as I know, I will tell you, so you two should sit down. Ika and Ling became more and more excited as they argued, and unknowingly they both stood up. After being comforted by Luoluo and Wei 11, he finally calmed down. The study session begins again, and this time Luoluo and Wei 11 become the central characters. Because the review of the other three people had no direction at all, so the two played the role of teachers and taught everyone a new lesson. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. And La Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 72. There is no such beauty as the fiery red sunset in winter, and the only basis for symbolizing the passage of time is the gradually dimming light outside the window. By the way, how are you going to spend the day after tomorrow? Where are you going to have fun? We won't skip class with you. I haven't skipped class either. No, I'm not talking about this. Don't you have any plans for God's rare birthday? God's birthday? Ah, it's already that time. Luoluo and Ling showed two completely different reactions. Sister Ling, what is the birthday of God? Are you kidding? Brother, do you know? No, absolutely no idea. The brother and sister both looked at the other three people blankly. The three people who were speechless showed their eyes as if they were looking at exotic animals. Ika, Luoluo, how do you spend this time of year? The last few days of December? Remember that mom and dad would prepare a sumptuous dinner to celebrate the safe end of the year. That's right, this is the time of year when we eat the most sumptuous food. Ika nodded in agreement. Although every family is similar in form, it's pretty much what you said. But it's a pity that you have been kept in the dark all this time. Chiuke spread his hands. By the way, our family is also the only one here. It will be a good meal a day. Isn't there some kind of religious group in the BZ Empire? What's the name of the one they believe in? Saint. Yes, that's the saint. It is said that she was one of the brave men who led the end of the cross-border war, and she was also the only human among them. Therefore, in order to commemorate the saint, the BZ Empire set her birth date as it's now God's birthday. Under Wei 11's reminder, Ling remembered the stories she heard from her parents when she was a child. Ling and Wei 11 actually knew about God's birthday. The former had completely forgotten about it because he had been immersed in reviewing day after day recently, while the latter noticed the movement of dates, but after seeing that no one had talked about the upcoming after the festival came, she gave up her plan to bring this matter up. I completely forgot. In that case, will you have a holiday the day after tomorrow? There will be a holiday, and it will be for 2 days. Chiuke raised 2 fingers to Ling, but the theoretical test is right after that, so I can't relax and play at all. This is really unfortunate. Chiuke's words extinguished everyone's originally high mood. When it comes to vacations, they should be spent without any burden. But what should be done specifically on God's birthday? Luoluo, who learned about this festival for the first time, felt that there should be some profound meaning in it. It shouldn't be possible to just have a sumptuous dinner and then be done with it, right? There doesn't seem to be anything special in my impression. No, actually. Chiuke looked at the faces of the 4 people in front of him. God's birthday is a holiday for lovers. Lover. My lover, that's what I'm talking about, right? Ling and Luoluo looked at each other and immediately looked away. Yes, even if we are not lovers yet, God's birthday often becomes a good opportunity. This is a consensus among girls. The current topic has nothing to do with learning at all. Chiuke also participated in the preparation of dinner. After dinner, she got on the train home. We will continue tomorrow. In order to spend the 2 days of vacation well, she really worked hard. If she could maintain this kind of motivation, she wouldn't have to run so hard between her home and Shigetsuki Academy now. After Chiuke left, everyone started discussing God's birthday again. Because I had never considered it before, if I made plans on the same day, I would waste my hard-earned vacation time. So they gathered in the hall and made a plan on the grounds that they had studied for too long and needed to relax. In 2 days, you can go back to the imperial capital. There seems to be a big amusement park there. But this kind of weather should. That's right. Luoluo and Ling sighed at the same time. That amusement park will also open normally in winter. Ika placed the PDA on the table, which displayed the advertisement for the amusement park. Besides, the weather during the day has been pretty good these days. I think we can go there. One trip shouldn't be a problem. Brother Ika, do you want to go too? I should say I've never been there before, so I'm a little curious. I am the same as my brother. But even in an amusement park, it's impossible to play for 2 days. It would be a bit unwilling to come back immediately after playing. Ling was thinking quietly. Although it's a holiday, you didn't forget that there is still a theoretical test, right? Ika took back the PDA. Even if we have a surprise review day tomorrow, it is difficult to guarantee that we will pass. I never said I would fail. You haven't reviewed it yet, okay. It's definitely no problem to pass, but I can't accept it if I'm ranked at the bottom. At least it should be ranked similar to the practical test. I always thought you were a companion. No, don't confuse me with you. Ling simply waved her hand and gave Ika the final blow. Wish you have fun. Ika dragged her feet and closed the door to her room lifelessly. After Ika left, the focus of the conversation changed a bit. Xiao 11, can you contact Xiaoan? Are you planning to stay at her house that day? If possible, This would be really convenient. It would really be embarrassing if the hotel was full that day. Ling also agreed with Luoluo's suggestion, but he was not very willing to owe Liuyan such a favor. Even according to what Ika said, he never mentioned the topic of revenge again, but it was impossible for him to forget what the Holy See had done. One day, I will do something that no one wants to see. Before that, I hope I can leave a few more memories. In this matter, the only thing I have changed is that I no longer generalize everyone. During the days spent with Wei 11 and Lu Yin, Ling could not ignite the idea of revenge. Some people are involved, and they already carry a heavy enough burden in their hearts. It would be cruel to add another layer on top. Even if he now has the strength to confront the Holy See, he will no longer fight without saying a word like before. Because if you do that, it will be exactly what he said. Then, what's the difference between you and those bastards in the Holy See you talk about? I still can't forget his expression and tone at that time. Now I can understand that at that moment, Ika was angry because of herself. Although he may have shown the same attitude towards many people due to his nosy nature, it was all sincerity. He said he was being hypocritical, but in fact he was the one who meant something different. Sister Ling. Ah, what? What were you thinking about just now? No, I was just in a daze. That's it? Luoluo said what he was planning to tell her. Just now Xiaoan has replied to the text message Xiaoxi sent. She happened to have something to do and wouldn't be at home that day, but Xiaoxi's magic ripples had already logged in, and they said we can use whatever is in the room as we please. That person is really defenseless. Ling suddenly felt weak. She felt so stupid for thinking about that kind of thing for a long time just now. Thanks to Xiaoxi for your face. No. Although I can't open the door if I don't go, she will definitely find a way to get Brother Shun to open the door for you. Speaking of which, Brother Shun doesn't know what he's doing right now. Luoluo thought of his childhood playmate and had not contacted him for half a year. Because he was not present when the PDA was obtained, his contact information was not obtained. The day he left, he was still busy with association matters. Association. Every time this term is brought up, it changes the existing atmosphere to some extent, so everyone keeps silent about it. Ling, who noticed his gaffe, quickly helped him to make things right. This time when I return to the imperial capital, I'll also stop by to see Shun. I remember he said that he comes here year-round. It looks like the national magician is also very hard-working. Lolo, all professions have their hard parts. Actually, I've always wanted to be a connoisseur. Hey, this is the first time you've mentioned it. Which aspect? Art. Music. Ling looked at Luoluo with interest. Gourmet food. So it's this aspect. As long as you sit down and have the snacks served in front of you, you can just talk about the taste. Society is not as simple as you think. Brother Ika, are you still reviewing now? Maybe he fell asleep on the desk again. Again. Wei 11 tilted her head. Lolo, did you go to his room last night just to wake him up? Sure enough, Ling still remembered the meeting last night. After a day, when asked the same question, there is no longer the same nervousness as last night. Luoluo instead thanked Ling for asking in person. If she hadn't asked, Luoluo wouldn't have known what she was thinking. Well, because it's that older brother, he definitely won't concentrate on reviewing, so I thought of going and taking a look. By the way, I also gave him the scarf I knitted before, although it can only be called a semi-finished product. So you've finished knitting? I thought you hadn't used those yarn balls yet. Ling showed a pity expression. I just happened to be a little interested in knitting recently, and I wanted to come to you to borrow some yarn. As for wool, there's still a lot left. No need now. If you think about it carefully, this kind of slow work and meticulous work is still not suitable for me, so give up. Yes, I really don't need it now. If you give the same thing, the person receiving the gift will also feel troubled. Sister Ling, this probably doesn't happen, I think you can do it. Thank you, Wei 11. I'll give it a try if I have time. The three girls continued chatting for a while. Because tomorrow's study will start in the morning, I can't sleep as much as I did today. Before 11 o'clock, they each returned to their rooms. By the way, the owner of the first room had already been pulled out of the dream on the table by everyone before this. End La Silver Machine. Author, Muse Hiking. Chapter 73. The weather that started to clear up on Sunday continued until God's birthday. Although the warm sunshine in winter cannot completely dispel the cold, seeing the scene in the season will indeed warm your heart. Are you ready with everything you need to bring? Before closing the door to the caretaker's cabin, Aika turned around and asked the three girls behind her a question. Everyone no longer wore the uniforms of Frost Moon Academy, but put on brand new winter clothes. Before coming to Shiyu Academy, they bought some changes of clothes in the commercial district of the eastern district of the imperial capital. But at that time, the girls and Aika acted separately. After meeting up, they already had large and small bags in their hands, so Aika had no idea what they had bought. Anyway, I have all my clothes and necessary daily necessities. Ling patted the suitcase next to her. The cold wind didn't seem to have a great impact on her. The pink and white long coat was draped over the knitted sweater, and the front buttons were not even buttoned properly. All the things we want to bring have been put into this box. Brother, have you checked your own? But I didn't stay there very long, and many of the things in Xiao's house are new. Slightly exposed skin could be seen between the hem of Luoluo's coat and knee-high socks, while Wuxi put on warm black pantyhose. The youngest, she is also the most sensitive to the cold air. Ling smirked and nudged Aika with her elbow. The scarf knitted by my sister, does it feel particularly warm? Sister Ling. Luoluo hurriedly intervened between the two people, forcibly preventing the topic from continuing to develop in a strange direction. Image. Haha, I have to consider buying a new scarf too. Ling stopped treating Aika and Luoluo as objects of entertainment and buttoned up the open skirt. Seeing you dressed like this, I thought you weren't afraid of the cold. After all, I am the same creature as you. How can I not be afraid of the cold? Or do you have any unique insights into my clothes? No, no, Aika smiled humorously, I just want to say that you really have your style. What does my style mean? The feeling of being alive and kicking. I don't feel happy at all. Sure enough, as Chiuke said, today is a special holiday. There are many students in Shigetsuki Academy who are not wearing uniforms. Like Aika and the others, they must be preparing to spend the annual festival outside the academy. But most of the people around were groups of 2 men and women, and a group of 4 like Aika stood out among them. Do you think it's colder now than it was just now? Not at all. Luoluo and Wei 11 also shook their heads. Are you the only one who feels this way? That must be an illusion. Brother, if you're tired, I can help you carry your suitcase. The only suitcase with a wheel design at the bottom is the Ling one, while Aika itself is a portable suitcase. The suitcase that can be towed is of course most suitable for girls, who also have many more things than themselves. Let my sister help carry the luggage, no matter what I say. Why? I am also very powerful. Luoluo puffed up her cheeks. It's that boring principle again, I really don't understand it. Ling dragged the girls' shared suitcase and walked between Luoluo and Wei 11. Since there was no snow, it was very easy to lug the suitcase around. What principle? Wei 11 didn't know what Ling meant. I don't know whether it's a man's self-esteem or what. If you don't know anything, don't tell me. Aika blushed rarely. At that time, I just said something casually to get Ling to accept the gift I gave him. Looking back now, I still feel a different kind of shame. There were already many people waiting in front of the train platform in front of the academy, and of course they were all students of Shigetsuki Academy. If we had come out earlier, there would have been fewer people. Whose fault is this? We call it necessary preparation time. Ling rolled her eyes at Aika. In fact, the four of them had already finished breakfast around 8 o'clock in the morning, and their luggage had been packed the night before. Then the girls prepared in the room for more than an hour. During this period, Aika could only pass the time in the hall by browsing the Academy's chat section on her PDA. I can only pray that today's airship flights will not be full. If you can buy your tickets in advance, you don't have to worry so much now. Of course this is just hindsight. In just 2 months, this is the second time I have visited the airport in the East District of the BZ Empire. But the excitement has not diminished at all compared to last time. When we went to Senior Lilith's house, because we were picked up and dropped off by Mr. Claus, the world outside the airport was still unknown to everyone. The first task now is to find a train within the area that can lead to Liuyan's house. Brother, I remember. Because Xiaoyun's home is on a mountain, there is no local train that can go directly to the door. It seems like this. After everyone arrived here, they recalled the experience half a year ago. Because the instantaneous car left them on Center Street, the last four had to climb a long mountain road. But at least I know I have to go to Center Street first, so I won't get lost when I get there. Aika comforted everyone. Why do rich people like to build houses on mountains? Liuyan is like this, and so is Senior Lilith. The two wealthy families Ling knew both built their mansions in remote places far away from the district center. The train schedule in the East District is much tighter than that in the Xuanjiu District. 10 minutes later, everyone was on the train that would stop at Center Street. Ling stretched out in his seat. I really want to live here. When you said that, I just thought of a question. Aika suddenly raised her voice. For weekends and short holidays like this, we can just stay at Shimizuki Academy. But what about winter vacation and summer vacation? There are only 2 months left, we can't still live in the dormitory. Come to think of it, it's winter vacation soon. Luoluo also noticed this problem that was just around the corner. It's impossible to disturb Xiaoyun's house all the time. But we can't afford to buy a house. It's okay if we just rent it? Lolo, who is in charge of everyone's finances, knows how difficult it is to find a solution to this problem. If I had to stay in a hotel like I did in PFA Town, the burden would be too much for 2 months. Of course, there is no way to think of a practical method in a short time. Until the trains in the area entered the Center Street station, no one came to a unified conclusion. Anyway, there is still more than a week, so just think about it slowly. If you haven't figured out a good solution in the end, then just continue to live in the dormitory. There is nothing inconvenient there. Indeed, as Aika said, the conditions of the caretaker's cabin are much better than those of ordinary hotels. His words reassured everyone, and the issue was temporarily put aside. If the rebuilding speed of the BZ Empire was not as fast as it is now, it would be impossible to stand in front of the Liuyan mansion before the afternoon started today. By the way, Wei 11. Please ask Liuyan for Brother Shun's mailing address. Since you are all here, let's go see him. We also thought about this the day before yesterday, Ling smiled bitterly, but we had forgotten about it until just now. Brother Shun is so pitiful. Luoluo sighed for his friend who didn't know where he was now. Okay, let's go inside first and take a rest. Wei 11 opened the door of the mansion, and the familiar courtyard appeared before her eyes. We have been living here together for several months. Although the vegetation in the courtyard is somewhat different from what everyone remembers due to the change in climate, this feeling of going home does make us feel extremely at ease. The room allocation remains the same as before. Is that okay? Now that Liuyan is gone, Wei 11 is equivalent to the owner of this mansion. She also realized her responsibility, so she made arrangements for everyone to live here as she does now. No disagreement. Then Lugo and Way 11 and I will stay in the same room, and you will live next door, right? Well, that's it. While Aika was packing her luggage in her room, Ling entered the room after knocking on the door. There is no change at all here. She looked around Aika's room. When she stayed in this mansion a few months ago, Ling also visited this room, so she still had some impressions. Brother Shun and Liu Yin don't go home often, and it seems that no one else will come, so we just keep it the same as when we left. But the rooms are always cleaned. Our rooms and yours both look like this. That seems to be the case. Aika ran her fingers across the table, and there wasn't a trace of dust on it. As Ling said, this place was cleaned not long ago. I almost forgot the main thing. Ling then remembered the reason why she had left her room alone and came here specially. Luoluo and Wixi asked me to ask you, when will you leave for the amusement park, or first take a rest? I think they all seem a little tired, but they don't want to change their plans. What are you going to do? Ask me. Aika thought for a moment. It would be best if you could take a break. But if you go to the amusement park later, you won't be able to play for long. I think so too. Ling was also in a dilemma. If they don't go today, they will definitely feel very sorry. How about we go to the amusement park tomorrow and spend the rest of the day visiting places we haven't visited before? Is there any place in the East End that we haven't been to? Makes sense. Before entering Frost Moon Academy, they had a letter of recommendation from the Holy See, so apart from their daily routine, they spent the rest of their time wandering around the East District. They have been to the Central Street, the Business District, the beach, basically all the places they can think of, except for the newly opened amusement park when they were in school. Is there any other place? It doesn't have to be a place that I haven't been to before. Ling suddenly changed her mind. Isn't there a lot of delicious food on Central Street? If you take them to have a full meal, they will definitely feel better. Didn't we just finish lunch? Don't worry about such details. Besides, the amount of exercise on the road can be digested even in lunch. To be honest, it's actually because you want to eat, right? How is it possible? You were tongue-tied just now. But Aika still chose to let Ling go, who had revealed his inner thoughts. This might work. Let me convince the two of them, and they will definitely accept it. Well, they'll leave it to you. But accordingly, it's your treat. I can almost guess what you will say.